What's up, everybody? The Common Sense Messiah is back to challenge another mainstream narrative, and today we're going to talk about this whole Ebola fiasco. And yet again, the current regime has managed to turn Kenya into a cheap hole for the West. Because usually, that's okay, since they came in power, that's what they've been doing. They have managed to turn Kenya into a global testing ground for the Western philosophies, Western agenda, the agendas of these superpowers, the agendas of these colonizers. And you see, the problem is, before this current regime, or in the past at least, we were doing these deals on a kind of a mutual benefit kind of thing. And even though we do agree that some of these benefits that you are getting were somewhat lesser compared to what these superpowers were getting, well, right now, it's just a free market for all. And you see, the benefit that is to be gotten is that these motherfuckers in power get to have their pockets lined up with a whole lot of dollars. The citizen or the country gets nothing in return, or something extremely negligible, but the superpower gets to have all the benefit, right? And I'm going to give you an example. If you look at, for instance, the Gates Foundation, why the fuck were they allowed to operate in free reign the way they used to? With this whole thing with vaccination, vaccinating our cows. I don't know if they're farting too much. This whole thing with introducing, I don't know, this certain thing they had with the family planning for women. And there's also this other fiasco with the seeds, because they wanted to introduce what they have in these countries, their countries, their home countries, where the farmers cannot share seeds. And they want to turn that into law, actually. I think that bill was in parliament. There was also imposing high taxes on these agricultural, inputs that are going to be used for the benefits of the farmer in terms of producing. And that's why food is so expensive in Kenya. That's why things that are grown locally, sourced locally, are far more expensive than the imports we get, because the cost of production is high, effective due to these taxes that these motherfuckers passed in parliament. And they are passing them in parliament. Do you really think our MPs are that smart to come up with a bill that is going to condemn? And I do agree it's an evil bill, but do you think they're that intelligent to come up with something that is so smartly written that it's just going to rip off the farmer? No. These things are written from out there, and then they're brought here, and then they're lobbied in a manner that these people get paid so that they can push these agendas. And because this is coming as a part of diplomatic ties that we have with these countries, it is put in such a manner that it's kind of like, what do you call them? These bilateral agreements. Or in other words, or in some cases, they try to sneak it in as something that is going to be like chini ya maji or something of that sort. Yeah? And now here comes Ebola. Now, there was a deal that was made, I think, with the previous regime, and I forget the details, but that's what they're basing this whole transplant of Ebola patients. And anyone with common sense, leave alone even common sense, you don't even need to be that intelligent to understand. I think even a retard knows that this is just flat out wrong. Americans, who love their citizens so damn much, don't even want their own Ebola patients. And mind you, this is the same America where a journalist would go to cover a story, I don't know if it's in Somalia or some part in Nigeria, some very terror-stricken region. And this terrorist kidnapped one of the journalists, and the United States sent a whole, battalion to come and get these people, to come and get this journalist, to come and rescue this one man or woman or whatever it was, or I don't know how many journalists there were, but they sent an entire squad to come and rescue them. That's the United States that I'm talking about. They are so possessive of their people. They are so possessive of their, their things. But here comes patients with Ebola. We don't want them anymore. You know what? They might spread the disease. You just take them to Kenya, And our government is like, unanipatia pesa ngapi? How much are you paying me to do this? So that they can actually allow the thing to happen. And because they're fucking retards, evil, without any backbone, they don't have any moral backing, they're not even patriotic. And that's the worst case scenario for anyone in government. In the situation that we have in Kenya right now, we are being led by leaders who are not patriotic even one bit. These are people who would sell the country, and they have demonstrated multiple instances that they are willing to do that. And they have even done that with certain things. They're willing to sell out parts of the country, or even the entire country as a whole, provided they line their pockets with money. That's literally a worst case scenario, having a leader who is not patriotic. Now, we suffer that from top down in terms of leadership. If you look at our parliament, they're all just fucking hoes. They can be sold to the highest bidder. If you look at the president, he's not interested in making Kenya a great country. He's not interested in making Kenya something good. In fact, since he campaigned on, what do we call it? His entire campaign was backed up by a whole lot of his Christianity and religious belief. Well, I will say this for a fact. The Bible says that the devil came to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And I will challenge every Christian who's watching this. Which of the three has not happened in this regime? Still, you just need to look at the current corruption cases that are happening in this country. Destroy. This government found functional systems. They were flawed. Yes, I'm not saying they were perfect. They had their errors, but they were functional to some degree. The university funding model, the education system funding model, that thing was robust. Current state, destroyed. Look at the NHIF. It had its errors, it had its flaws. They were big, I agree, and a reform needed to be made. But the reform that was made and the thing that was created to replace it it's a worse devil than what was there before. Utter destruction. Do we need to look at energy, right? And look at the current state that we are in, privatization and all of that. We don't even have the rights to our own energy anymore because they've gone to the private sector in a bid to make it look like, you know, this entity that is KPC was too difficult to save. Yet, the reason it was in that dust, the reason it was in the gutters was because thieves, crooks, morons, idiots, quite literally retards were running the thing. And they were running it to the ground. And I gave a specific scenario with Malaysia, which owns Petronas. Petronas is a state-owned oil company. All right? Kind of like their version of KPC. And they ran that thing so damn efficiently that it became something global. And it's government-owned, by the way. It became so damn global that it has the capacity to sponsor Formula One teams, other sporting events. And on top of that, it provides oil perfectly within the country at good rates for its citizens. Do you see what I'm talking about? Kenya had a refinery. And at the time, we used to import crude oil, which was cheaper, and we refined it ourselves, and that created employment. And then we had an entire extensive pipeline system, which I think is still functional to date. But since we are not refining our own oil, some of that has rusted and it's not in use anymore. But you get the point. We used to do all that. That was avenues where money was being generated, labor, you know. We had an entire infrastructure for oil. And on top of that, we discovered oil in Turkana. If we had that current infrastructure running, it would have been that much easier for us to just incorporate drilling and just put now that crude oil into our own system of refining and all that. But the current government will make you believe it's so damn impossible to do because it's expensive, the distance, I don't know, it would destabilize the ecosystem. They're giving a bunch of excuses that are just fucking retarded. And that's the thing I'm saying. Destruction, 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 right? Let's look at the killing. There was the whole thing with these people getting abducted and being found dead. There was the protests that we had in 2024 over the finance bill. You know how that went. A whole lot of people were killed. So, the Christian campaigning method that was used by this regime, oh, tunampenda Mungu, we love God. The devil says the Bible says the devil comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy, all which have been done by this regime. In fact, our foreign policy right now is in the gutters because of that same destruction that you're talking about. You know, the claims of financing rebels in Sudan. Can you imagine? On top of that, we are in bed with every freaking Western superpower, including those that are not on good terms, making deals left, right, and center. Our president thinks he's so smart that he can shortchange these superpowers, make a deal with this one and this one and this one and this one, and these ones are not in good terms. Yeah, trying to bring China into the mix, yet you have US in the same picture. And you know these people are rivals, man. They are on a flat-out Cold War. It's just that they're not calling it a Cold War. And you're making that a hotbed for that kind of rivalry in our country. And, you know, so much that the United States feels entitled to, we are creating a base, you know, a medical center in Kenya that will house our Ebola patients. And they're saying it with so much gusto. You'd think Kenya is part of their colony. Can you believe it? And even now, when the courts have not cleared out this whole issue, still, people in Laikipia are telling me that there's a heavy United States military presence. They have the jets landing. We have a whole lot of, United States military presence in the airbase, in the Kenya Air Force airbase that is in Laikipia. You see what I'm talking about? If we had a president or a government or a regime that is Kenya first, that is patriotic, that has common sense, all this nonsense would not be happening. Because number one, our own medical system is a disaster. Freaking disaster. No medication. Doctors go underpaid frequently. I think it's in a span of every 2 years, we must have a very lengthy doctor strike. If not a doctor strike, immediately after, we must have a nurses strike. On top of that, there must be a scandal to do with all hospitals do not have medicine. And on top of that, we must go with the whole situation of all hospitals are being underfunded. And on top of that, we must go with the whole issue of, the insurance that has been brought up by the government. This SHA and SHIF fiasco is not working. And now, somehow we have the capacity to handle Ebola. Fucking pathetic. I just look at these people and I think the problem with us as Kenyans is that we are not angry enough. We're not angry enough. We don't pay much attention to these things for us to feel agitated enough, because if you really look at it, this is like our country being stolen right in front of our eyes. For some superpower to just come and speak with so much gusto, like they own the country. You're going to take Ebola patients to Kenya. As who? And then you have a government that loves bending over and taking it from the back from these Western superpowers and screaming, yes, daddy, at everything they do. Let's not do that. And I would urge everyone right now, I know Kenyans, we are a very unserious bunch of people. And sorry if this triggers you, but it is true. If you look at the type of things that trend in this country, it's fucking nonsense. I don't know who was seen with a sex tape with who. I don't know this celebrity has broken up with who. I don't know there's a new dance challenge. Well and good. Well and good. I'm not even judging you for it. But can we allocate time for some serious matters so that we can really understand what is going on in our country? It was very nice what happened in 2024 and part of last year, so that we can understand what was happening with this finance bill. And I urge that same seriousness to go on, as we go on, even as we get closer to the election, so that we can truly understand the damages that are being done in our country by the current regime, so that we can know how to fix it. Otherwise, we might lose our country to these corporations and these Western superpowers and these retarded government just giving away our stuff for free, That's the risk we run as a country. So please, can you stay vigilant? As a Kenyan, it's upon you. And the beauty of it is a good number of you have information at your fingertips. You have phones, bundles. You really just need to curate your feed in such a manner that it keeps you active in terms of, it keeps you informed on what is happening in the country. And you need to be interested in this as well. Because let me tell you something. The current regime that we have right now does not allow us to sleep on it. We can't afford to sleep on it. Utamka ukuta umeuzwa. Right now, as we speak, an unborn child already has hundreds of thousands of debt in terms of this entire thing to do with debt. So meaning, it's like we are running on a deficit. And where's the majority of that debt gone? Them idiots, they stole. Straight up from Uhuru's time all the way to this regime. I don't give Uhuru, that much praise and accreditation as you guys love to shower him with all this. Oh, he was such a good president. Fuck him. This guy is the root of all Kenya's problems. He's 10 years in power. He skyrocketed this debt from 1-point-something trillion, which was left by Kibaki, all the way to, I think it was 8-point-something trillion. And majority of that debt is illegal. And majority of that debt as well went into people's pockets. Because if you were to look at Kenya and if you were to do a full audit, we don't have any amount of development that amounts to even a quarter of that debt. Which is why during his reign, there was a whole lot of corruption scandals left, right, and center. NYS, I don't know, there was this, I don't know, this thing to do with gold. There was a whole lot of them. And he did nothing. This is the man who had the guts to come and stand in front of people and say, we lose about 2 billion a day in this country. This is a fucking president. And he's speaking from a point of powerlessness. What does he expect the populace to do? And right now we have his disciple in power, who has shown that to even much more, how do I say, severe extremities. Doesn't give a hoot about Kenya or Kenyans, or the global image for that matter. Just taking loans left, right, and center. We don't see where all this is going. And that's the worst thing. At least with the thieves we had in Huru's time, they had the guts to invest locally, and we would see, okay, a certain fucking governor has a certain property, a certain business that they have created, and we know their salary cannot allow for that. So we just know that is out of stolen money, but it is circulating in the economy, and it's something you can see. With this current regime, we don't know where they're taking the money. There's no money in circulation. We don't have development that matches up to that amount of debt that we have accumulated. And on top of that, we do not even have clear systems on how we're going to repay that debt. Because as far as the things that are supposed to be bringing revenue to the government, they've been privatized. They're running to privatize these things. So it's just all chaos. It's just all chaos. So please be very interested in what is happening in the country. I know this has been a long video, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's a wake-up call. We really need to be active. That being said, have a nice time, and I'll see you in the next one.